This is the Trinity Broadcasting Network, celebrating 29 years of God's miracles. This is the Trinity Broadcasting Network, celebrating 29 years of God's miracles.
Welcome to Creation in the 21st Century. I'm your host, Carl Baugh, founder and director of the Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas. Today's program is titled Creation in Practice. Does creation work? Does evolution work? You know, it's amazing when an event such as September 11, 2001 occurs, when we need to turn to God and remember that we were divinely created. There's very little propaganda going on about evolution until the smoke clears and then naturalism rears its ugly head again. Does creation really work? Does evolution really work? Now, we're going to see the principles of creation in practice on this program. This program may save your life, and I'm very serious about that. Call a friend. Let them know that they need to tune into the program because some information, some vital information will be related from a medical standpoint, and I'm not the practitioner. I'm not licensed, nor am I qualified to practice medicine, but I brought to the studio those who are. And today's program will be one of those you want to remember from now on, reflect upon, and make special contact regarding, because creation can be applied and should be applied in practice. To understand what we're talking about, we first need to understand the principles of creation. God created man in his own image. Man is not the product of a deity experimenting with lower life forms and incrementally, progressively giving them a larger brain capacity until finally he infuses one of them with a soul and calls him man. And there are theologians who actually hold to that view. That's totally foreign and alien to the Bible, totally alien to genetic potential of any living system, and totally foreign to the facts. God made man as a very special reflection of his own image. In the image of God created he him. God created man in a very special environment. This beautiful 3D model of the earth as originally described in the biblical record attended to scientific investigation. This model was done by the world-famous artist Robert Summers, a dear friend of mine who goes with me into jungles of Papua New Guinea and other exotic places on perilous missions and expeditions. And he often is on the program. His son is on the program today. This model that Robert Summers did is attendant to the biblical record and consistent with creation evidence. And it shows that the earth as originally designed was slightly smaller in diameter, thus generating slightly greater gravitational attraction, increasing the atmospheric pressure. And this earth had a canopy surrounding it called the firmament, which had some physical dimensions, literally restoring the electromagnetic field. And let me say that again. The earth as originally designed had a system of restoration of the energy of the electromagnetic field. We living systems use up the electromagnetic field. Its moment, its energy level is critical and critically low right now. Originally, the Earth's magnetic field was approximately 10 times what it currently is. It is now 0.5 Gauss, 1/2 Gauss. We have data indicating that originally the Earth's magnetic field was 10 times that, or 5 Gauss of energy. DC, direct current energy. So we're envisioning a globe originally designed for man, purposefully designed for man, who himself requires a purpose. Man is the only creature capable of being bored. He requires purpose and design to his life. And then God designed this earth with verdant vegetation for our benefit. So now, let's get to some creation in practice. You're going to meet 4 special individuals today, but let's begin with 2 of my very favorite individuals involved in previously protecting and defending our country. Welcome again to the program, Colonel Rick Davis. Rick, it's a delight to have you back.
It's a pleasure to be here, Carl.
And Lieutenant Tyler Summers, your dad performed a special benefit to us in many dimensions, but especially in building that 3D dimensional globe for us.
Sure.
These men have purpose to their lives. The purpose of their lives we have received in measure. That is, they have deliberately joined the military. They have deliberately defended us. Colonel Davis, Rick, has been in battle from Vietnam through the Persian Gulf and recently retired. He has been commander of forces, commander of entire military bases. And Lieutenant Tyler Summers has been involved in protecting us in the perilous task of flying in the Navy. And in the aerial maneuvers, he was required, of course, to land his craft under all conditions, stormy sea, blackened at night without any lights on the ship. How do you land aircraft on a ship that can't even be seen?
Very carefully.
Very carefully, yes. I want to ask you men something.
It doesn't matter. You still have to do it.
It doesn't matter how you do it. You just, he caught me there between breaths. Nice, very nice. Now, these men have a purpose in their lives. You were designed for a purpose. In defending our country, did you feel any sense of gratification in the fact that your life and your purpose were appreciated and benefited us who might never know who was doing it? Did you feel a sense of gratification?
Yes. From a leadership perspective, and that's what the latter part of my career, I understood the importance of integrity. How can there be any integrity or any meaning of integrity if there is no God?
Yes.
How can there be a better evidence for the existence of a God except through his handiwork and understanding the creation?
Well stated. Well stated. That's right. So, had you been an evolutionist, do you think you would have had the same potential to lead men and require valor of them?
I was an evolutionist at one time, just like you were.
Yes,
at one
that's
time.
right.
And my perspective of how to deal with people and the importance of honesty and being upfront and integrity and all that involves became very clear to me when I became a Christian.
And even the value of those men and their lives probably
became more important.
More important. Beautifully stated. Tyler, you were in a position to fly over no-fly zone to imperil your life. Had you been an evolutionist, do you think life would have held the same value to you as it did as a creationist and a Christian?
Absolutely not. I mean, as a Christian, for one, regardless of the outcome, it's the way it's meant to be. If I make it out, then that's fine. I definitely don't have a death wish. But if anything did happen, I know I'm going to go meet my Creator, Jesus Christ,
Yes.
which is not a bad option either.
That's right, one step home. I like that. And we applaud these men, and I want to thank you again for defending us and our liberties in our future. So, gentlemen, I'll call on you again in just a few moments. I'm glad you're here. This brings me to another special guest. This lady is the wife of this gentleman. This lady is a mastered nurse and has had responsibilities in a number of areas and has been a real friend of the museum and a consultant in areas having to do with health to my family. And she's well qualified to do so, and she is qualified to practice medicine. This is Jan Abrams. Jan, it's a delight to have you on the program today.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
And from the standpoint of, first of all, how long have you been a creationist?
All my life.
You're very fortunate. As Colonel Davis and I discussed a moment ago, we were evolutionists at one point in our lives, and perspectives change. So you have the privilege of a growth perspective as a creationist. Now, as a creationist, do you see nutrition and environmental health as having greater integrity from the creation standpoint as opposed to a naturalistic standpoint of gobble up everything you can get because we're just evolving instruments to the ultimate life form? Or, since we were created originally, do you think nutrition was designed for us?
Oh, yes. God set in motion lots of laws at creation, and health laws were set in motion then also.
Do they work?
And yes, they do. And if we defy them, we will pay the consequences.
You've actually encouraged me in my diet. And I won't tell this audience how old I am because they may replay this program and I may be inaccurate. But actually, at 65, that's approximately how old I am, depending on when the program is played. At 65, I'm able to go more hours per day than I could at age 30. And much of that is attributed to research in the creation model and specifically to the change in my eating habits. Talk to us about enzymes and how we might benefit.
Well, they're key to life, and there's metabolic ones, and you know, in the 1930s, we had only identified 80 enzymes total.
Now, what are enzymes?
Enzymes are just the tiniest little, I can't tell you what they are. They're just the tiniest little thing.
A unit of living matter. That's right.
Right, and there's, today, in the 1960s, they had identified 600. Today, we couldn't even count them. And I know that each organ and each tissue has its own specific enzymes
now
doing repairs. And
let's say that again. Every one of those enzymes, we thought there were 30. Then we identified 600. Now we can't even count the total number of them that we're seeing in microbiology. These are small units of living material that are actually nutrients for our bodies. So you were saying a moment ago that each one has a special purpose.
right.
And it catalyzes special cell structure and benefit. Is that correct?
That's right. They're the tiniest little workers, but we need them. And enzyme researchers have concluded that we have an enzyme potential when we're born, an enzyme bank. And when that is used up, life can't continue. And we not only have the metabolic enzymes, but we have the digestive enzymes made by the pancreas. And if we eat a refined diet, define a health law.
Like we practice doing today?
Right.
If I start listing junk food, I'm going to get in trouble. But Stan and I participated in eating some of that junk food for many years.
Oh, we all have.
We all have.
And anyway, if we do not eat raw foods, some raw foods every day, that have their own enzymes with them, that are sparing our savings account,
yes,
we will use up our enzyme potential much sooner. We will age faster, and also we are open to disease.
Stan, are we listening? I'm listening.
I'm hearing.
Yes, we're listening to this. This is her husband. And Jan, you're right. And I want to thank you for emphasizing today on the program, Creation in Practice, that these chemical enzymes, these tiny little living systems, were all specifically designed for our benefit, and we should follow these primary nutritional laws. Now, every once in a while, Stan and I break over, and we'll have a pizza and some junk food, but we're trying to listen to you.
Right.
Because you're right.
Right. We can't, without enzymes, we can't pre-digest our protein or deliver it. Without protein, we can't utilize minerals. Without minerals, we can't utilize vitamins. And without those, we cannot live. I'm a hospice nurse,
yes.
and I take
You
care
watch
of
people die.
Yes, at young ages, unnecessarily.
And what you're really saying is that not only is there a creation, our bodies were created to respond to the very chemical and living catalysts and enzymes that God simultaneously created, so it all functions as one beautiful entity in
Right.
His design and creation.
That's right.
All right, now that brings us to our final guest today, and a guest with a shocking point to make. This is Dr. Stan Abrams. These are all dear friends of mine. Dr. Stan is one of our consulting physicians in the creation model. He was doing some volunteer work, he and Jan, at the museum, and overheard a conversation about one of the lessons I believe that I was giving regarding the stronger DC electromagnetic current that was available, and some on Earth as originally created, and some research that was being done at Oklahoma State University, where they were using the stun gun with incredible response. Now, let me emphasize that the stun gun is overkill. You can't go around living with a stun gun to zap yourself. But we're trying to recover quickly. You can't live under the energy of a stun gun. I mentioned earlier at the top of this program that the Gauss energy at creation, we believe, was about 5 Gauss, about 10 times what it is currently. Dr. Abrams, welcome to the program
Thank
today.
You, Paul.
It's a
very much.
joy to have you, Stan.
Thank you.
Now, did you bring an instrument with you?
Yes, I did. This is the stun gun.
That is the stun gun. Now, you are a specialist in emergency medical attention, and
Yes.
you do practice medicine. I cannot, because I'm not licensed, nor am I qualified to practice medicine. And is it true that you heard from the creation model the basic principle that we had greater electromagnetic energy originally, and that induction of greater electromagnetic DC current can have some healing benefits?
Yes, that's true. And in 1986, there was an article published in Lancet magazine where several people in Quito, Ecuador, had tried using the stun gun on snake bites. They did 34 cases. None of the snake bites died, the people that had the snake bites. 7 refused treatment. 2 of those needed life-saving amputations, and the other 5 all had sequelae. So they were very impressed, and they said, well, we don't know how this thing works, but it's certainly a good first aid measure here in the jungle where we don't have access to anti-venom.
Yes.
Then in December of that same year, some researchers in Germany wrote back and said, we know how it works. And they postulated that the enzyme has a metallic ion on the end of the enzyme, which is a messenger. And when you change the charge on that enzyme by electric current, then the enzyme and the coenzyme, the keys don't fit anything anymore, and they won't work.
All right.
And the body can take care of it as a foreign protein. Besides that, it also changes the cell membrane potential, and then limiting certain passages of certain enzymes into the tissue.
So we have the medical explanation. Now here's the big question. Does it work? Let's quickly, for sake of time, when you're having fun, time flies rapidly. These are photographs Dr. Stan brought to the studio. He mentioned snake bites. We have documentation of the use of stun gun and bites of the black mamba, the rattlesnake, the copperhead, many other very poisonous vipers. Also documentation regarding black widow spiders and other spiders. There's a spider in Australia whose bite can kill you in 3 minutes. And the only antidote they have found is the stun gun. But now we get to a character here, and he really is a character. Throughout the United States and much of the world, I understand. What's the name of that little innocent-looking spider?
This is the brown recluse spider. They are very, very prevalent. There's several different species of brown recluse spiders.
And what happens, in brief, what happens when you get a bite? First, you don't even know you're bitten.
Most of the time, you don't even feel it, and this is one of the tip-offs. But the next thing that happens is you start to itch, burn, and break out in big...
Let's see what has occurred. We're going to examine some patients, or Dr. Stan Abrams is going to examine some patients.
This bite here on the thigh was about 2 days old. The patient drew a line around the area of redness and said, in the morning when I get up, if that redness is outside of that line, I will go and see the doctor. Well, he came to the emergency room, and you can obviously see how far the redness is out around the area. I treated him, and I had to chase him down in a week because he never came back. He said, well, I didn't want to come back. You cured me. And this is where the bite was. It didn't even leave a scar.
Now, you're a specialist in emergency medicine. How did you treat him?
With the stun gun.
With the stun gun?
Yes.
Just application with a stun gun?
Yes.
Wow. Let's look at this other patient.
This gentleman was carrying cement blocks in out of the house to make a bookcase, and he didn't realize it for a couple of days that he had a bite. When he came to see me, you can see how large the area of erythema is around the central core.
The bullseye effect.
Right. And then I treated him, and then 2 weeks later he came back for a follow-up. The redness was all gone. He still had the central core. And then 8 weeks later, the next time I could get a hold of him, there was absolutely nothing left. And people that if they've ever seen a brown recluse spider bite, they crater. They leave a great, big, ugly crater.
Yes. Then?
This is a picture of a 10-month-old bite on the leg. And this man thought that he should have surgery to get rid of all that necrotic tissue. And so they did the surgery on 1/28 of 2000, and you can see the nice stitch line.
Yes.
And they had excised all the necrotic tissue. And on 2/26, which isn't even a month later, the wound had opened up and looked worse than it did to begin with.
So the surgery did not affect benefits?
No, the venom is still in the system and broke down again. This is the first lady that I treated at your office. She came up from Houston to see me.
Now remember, I did not treat her because I'm not qualified. You came in especially.
She was a school teacher. She had to wear a bandage around that leg because it was just constantly draining pus. Her blood pressure was exceedingly high from the pain, had to be on blood pressure medicine to control her blood pressure. We treated her, and she went out to watch your movie and the thing, and in 20 minutes, it had completely stopped draining.
In 20 minutes? 20 minutes?
Yes.
Now, quickly, tell us about this.
This is a pharmacist from New Orleans. He had been bitten in 1996, and he had had hyperbaric treatment on this wound.
Here's a medically qualified individual. That looks like rot. And
well,
that's
they had debrided it, but they had taken all the rotten tissue out of there.
Yes.
But it had started to go through to the other side of his ankle. This is the little toe side, and it had started to go through to the big toe side of his ankle. And he came to see me, and we treated it, and it completely stopped the reaction.
It has nothing but a scar left. And if the treatment is early enough, I understand, there's not even a scar left.
Right.
He would have lost his leg.
He could have lost his foot.
And then, finally.
This lady was a nurse at one of the big hospitals in Fort Worth. 10 years ago, she got bit on the end of her ring finger by a brown recluse spider. This was the ugliest looking thing I'd seen in a long, long time. In fact, when she came to see me, she had what I thought were designer boxing gloves. She had a big old bandage on her thing, and when we took it off, it was just oozy, weepy, and you couldn't hardly touch it. And I told her it wasn't going to be painless. She said, I don't care. They had done a cervical sympathectomy where they cut the nerve in her neck to stop the pain in her arm.
How much money did all of this cost her?
In 10 years, she saw 22 doctors and spent $250,000.
$250,000.
Yes, we treated her, and in 24 hours, the pain was gone. In 5 weeks, it had healed. This is about 5 months later, completely healed.
You treated her by simply shocking her with DC current of the stun gun. Let's do something. Now, we do not treat people at the Creation Evidence Museum. You simply came to meet a patient there. You have your own office, and don't anyone try to get us to treat you or any patient. Get in touch with Dr. Stan. You have a website.
Well, David Lines is one of our co-partners, is helping me design a web page.
All right, so they can contact the museum later and
Yes.
get in touch with you. Now, I want this to record. This is what it sounds like with DC current, 25,000 voltage. But when that current is going into an individual, you won't hear anything. Yeah, I think we should show you here on the set that applying this won't kill you. We have two stoic military personnel here today. Which of you would like to, would both of you come over close? The program's
friendly.
almost over, and I think people need to see this. Which of you would like to volunteer to be shocked with a stun gun?
I've selected Lieutenant Summers.
You've selected Lieutenant Summers. And Lieutenant Summers, are you prepared?
Of course.
Okay.
Where are you going to?
Well, I'm not going to do it. But instead of doing this to these stoic men, I think I should make a contribution. Dr. Stan, the first time you ever saw anyone zapped with a stun gun is when I zapped myself. Would you simply zap me? Well, I know he did it, but I'm still alive. And if I had had a brown recluse bite, or the bite of a venomous creature,
Cured.
it would, is that right? Cured that quickly?
Yes.
That is absolutely astounding. I hope medical practitioners are watching. And I hope you've realized today that the principles we've been emphasizing are creation principles. And that we're not simply talking about medicine, except where it applies to your health as designed. Jan talked about enzymes, specifically designed for your benefit. And it was not an evolutionary process that did so. It was the Creator God who designed those and designed you as a functioning entity. Do you know that Creator God? Wouldn't you just open your heart to Him and pray this simple prayer? Dear God, I know I'm a sinner. I need more than health. I need forgiveness of sin. Right now, I ask Jesus Christ into my heart to forgive me of my sin. Lord Jesus, come in right now. I know you died for me. Amen. I trust that not only did you pray that prayer, but that you will serve the Creator. And remember, naturalism explains nothing. Evidence points strongly to creation and a Creator. And since there is a Creator, you need to be at peace with that Creator. And that's possible only through Jesus Christ. God bless you for being attuned today.
Creation in the 21st Century has been sponsored by Trinity Broadcasting Network. And only with your love gift of support can this program stay on the air. So write to Creation in the 21st Century, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.
Information like you have received today is available at the Creation Evidence Museum. In printed form, in videos, we even have a coloring book for the kids. Just call or write us at Creation Evidence Museum, P.O. Box 309, Glen Rose, Texas, 76043, area code 254-897-3200, or check us out on the web, creationevidence.org.